Welcome to the Scoop with Dukes. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes D Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes D Scoop, and please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have not already become a member of the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. You can just go to the link in that description, hit that button. It's like you're donating or just supporting the channel on autopilot. You won't even miss it.
Mm.
$4.99, $9.99. We got varying levels of support, but it keeps this content coming at you. We appreciate it. We're up to 16,000 subscribers. We want to tread forward to 20,000. So I appreciate you guys making it happen. And this is, of course, an AU scoop. And I've got one of the most plugged in sources in Auburn football, basketball, Auburn period, college football period, because he also has a really good pulse of what's going on at UCF. Mr. Mike Gittins, Mike G. What's up, Mike?
How much, man? Just taking in the off season, Dukes. It's finally here, and it's talking season as well. I like to call it, man.
Yeah.
We got some Auburn basketball going on here. Lots of drama over there, but football is king.
Right.
Portal has closed. Kids can't get in the portal, but they can still pick a school. And I think our guy Alex Golesh is still hoping there's a few more studs here looking to pick Auburn.
Let's talk about Golish for a minute. So far, based on Coach Freeze, in his last in his tenure in Auburn, I wouldn't say he had some of his finest moments at the podium. Um, so far, grade Alex Golesh as far as press conference performance so far.
You know, a lot was made of, between from Parson to Freeze, and then when Freeze was here about winning the press conference, and I think Harson did a good job winning the press conference. It didn't amount to wins. I think Freeze, did good at times, but he put his foot in his mouth sometimes in some of the press conferences and some of the things that he talked about. Um, One of those press conferences we reported on. I mean, you reported on it more prominently than anybody. But in talking about a certain player, he made some statements that did not exactly reflect the situation accurately about the particular player. For Alex Golesh, I don't think any of this is going to be a problem. I think he's saying exactly what needs to be said and nothing more. And what did he say? He said we're going to run the football. And we're going to have a process-driven program. And I got to tell you, that's a really important line here because that's exactly what Auburn was missing behind the scenes under Hugh Freeze, a process-driven program.
Mm.
They were missing that. And they suffered. It suffered on the football. It's something that's very hard to quantify in stats, Dukes. But at the end of the day, it shows up. You know where it shows up? It shows up in the fourth quarter when your star player has the ball and then he fumbles and then he can't secure the football in your most important game of the year against your biggest rival. To me, that's about a process during the week that's going bad. And Auburn needs a better process. Alex Golesh is bringing that, man. I'm telling you, he's bringing that. They had all the talent in the world. No process, man. No process. So I think he's saying what needs to be said in these press conferences. And that's, look, we saw where it went wrong and we're going to fix it because that's what we do. That's built into what we do. So it's already fixed. When you hired me, it was fixed.
Right.
So yeah, I like him. I like Alex Golesh a lot. I think he's going to do well.
Ike Jones, your counterpart over at the War Report, and if you guys haven't already, make sure you go to the War Report on social media and YouTube and tap in with the guys. But Ike Jones does a really good job of breaking down film, and I know you guys have had some discussions about Alex Golesh's offense. What is it about Alex Golesh's offense, in your opinion, that what is it about that that would allow them to be successful in year one?
He does a really good job creating opportunities for his skill players. So if you play in this offense, you're gonna have a chance. If you're a receiver, you're gonna have a chance to catch the ball. If you're a running back, you're gonna have a chance to run the ball. They run the ball. I want to be clear. They run the ball in Alex Golesh's offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all fun and gun, but if you're a receiver, you ain't gonna be out there just blocking the whole time either. They're gonna find a way. I mean, look at when you break down Byron Brown, he was obviously their leading rusher. He was a 1,000-yard rusher, but behind him, right, you had two guys who ran the ball a lot. One of those dudes, Davenport, is now an Auburn Tiger.
Davenport, for sure.
Yeah. So come on, man. Like I think they're to show me the season of Auburn football in the last 30 years that was successful, but they weren't a running football team. Doesn't exist.
Right.
Right? Auburn's got to be able to run the football and throw the ball well enough. And that's where we come back to Byron Brown. Can he throw the ball well enough so that teams can't load the box to stop the run and tee off against you? Can he fix the offensive line? You and I had a discussion recently talking about that offensive line and whether he can do what needs to be done down there in the trenches. Indiana just became national champions, and Kirk Cignetti understood one simple thing. We have to be able to dominate the trenches if we want to win at a high level here at Indiana. It's what the SEC has had on a lot of the other conferences for a very long time. In the BCS era, all them BCS championships, every single championship game, it was the offensive and defensive line dominating every other conference. It showed up. Every single time it showed up. And then the ones that we saw, like the very first college football playoff national championship, what was Ohio State and Oregon. What did we see in that game? We saw Ohio State dominate Oregon on the line. And I said, oh, this looks familiar. Feels like the 2010 BCS national title game where it's been 4 or 5 years. They ain't learned no lessons about beefing up the line. And they got dominated, and Ezekiel Elliott ran all over them. Come on, man. And Golish knows this. He understands this. That's why I think they're going to do well. Now, can he go out and find the guys and put it together? I think he can. The resources are there for him to do it. But I think it's running the football that really allows his offense to work. And when you do that successfully, you can create opportunities for your skill positions to get involved. And if you have a quarterback you trust to throw the ball, and you have receivers that can just go get it. I think they have that now.
Speaking of the receivers, how excited are you for the addition of the receivers from South Florida? It doesn't just have to be Singleton, but who excites you? Even if it is Singleton, who excites you at the receiver position? It's kind of like we had a conversation about people being validated in their lamenting the loss of Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons and Eric Singleton. That was one of the greatest and most underutilized wide receiver rooms that we've probably seen in recent history. What excites you about the current mix of wide receivers at Auburn?
Yeah, look, hear me out on this one. Bryce Kane is still a super talent. One of the original Freeze 4 is still on this roster. He was the one that decided to say Malcolm gone, Perry gone, Cam gone. Bryce Kane still an Auburn Tiger. I still think he has a chance to break out under Alex Golesh. I really do. And I know I hear me out. Like, I am excited about Keyshawn Singleton, but maybe not for why a lot of people are excited about him. The reason I'm excited about Keyshawn Singleton is he's a guy that Byron Brown knows and trusts. Coming into a system where they already understand the expectation, and they can help bring other guys along to what the standard is faster. I mean, so I'm not only excited to see Keyshawn Singleton play, I'm excited about what he's going to bring to the room in terms of experience and knowledge and leadership.
Okay.
That's going to be fun to watch. So if he can say, hey guys, look, this is where you're supposed to be. This is where you're supposed to be. This is how coach wants it done. Let's go out and do it. Free said something that I think is very important. I've heard coaches other than him say this, and I've heard Golish say this in some respect, and it's this. He said the best teams are player-led teams, where the players step up and the players speak up and the players get their teammates in line. Very, very important. You don't think that Indiana was a good player-led team? They're a great player-led team. So who's the leader that's going to emerge for Auburn to say, look, I'm the flag bearer for what the standard is now that Alex Golesh is the coach? Is it Keyshawn Singleton? I think it could be. It definitely needs to be Byron Brown.
Right.
Or can you get a guy like Bryce Kane, who, although he wasn't coached by this staff, says, look, man, I stuck around because I believe in what these guys are doing, and we're going to do it this way now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Someone who's kind of a spokesperson for, those who stayed. There's a lot of potential and a lot of talent here, and there were some guys that Freeze recruited that did stay, that were top 150. I mean, Bryce Kane is a top 150 guy, man. The only reason we didn't see more of him was because the room was just too stacked.
Right.
You cleared some of that out. Now I hope that he doesn't get buried behind bias. Don't bury him behind bias of the USF guys that came in and do that. He might be more talented than anybody they brought in. Yeah. Bryce King might be more talented than anybody they brought in, including Keyshawn Singleton. You just haven't seen the production yet because he didn't get the shot. Give him the shot.
Okay. So that's basically saying there was a hidden gem already on the roster.
There's a ton of hidden gems. Yeah.
Give me another one. Defensively. Let's talk about a guy defensively that we may not have seen a lot of that you feel like is a gem.
Defensively? Now, I had a very, very famous miss on defense last year. I really thought DeMarcus Riddick was going to be the breakout star. I liked Malik Blockton a lot and what he was bringing. All these guys are gone now, right?
Right.
And you're looking around the room and you're thinking, okay, well, who's going to be my guy? Xavier Atkins is not even
right? He was hurt last year. Riddick, he was hurt most of the fall.
Yep.
So Riddick still has a chance, but I get what you're saying. So
you
can't put that one all the way on you, bro. Like nobody could have predicted that to happen.
Yeah, it was just he got a lot of the headlines. He got a lot of the headlines, but at the end of the day, Xavier Atkins was the best player on the team. Yeah, he was the best player on the team.
Sure.
But defensively, right? Like I still am carrying the flag for Xavier Atkins. I think that he might hear me out on this one, dude. Xavier might have been Auburn's most important re-signing.
Agreed.
He might have been their most important re-signing. Not just because of the production, but again, you're talking about another guy on defense that understands exactly what DJ Durkin wants and how to do it. And he should be that again, I just talked about that offensively. He should be that guy that speaks up and says, you know what? This is the standard.
Right.
This is how it's done. And you're not going, anybody thinking that they're going to come in here and do anything less than the standard, you're not going to last here.
Right.
We're not accepting it. We're not accepting less than the standard. Right. And you know what? And he's got the proof. Look what I did. That's what I want for all my teammates on defense. And this is how we're going to get there. So I've got my eyes on, when you say who's got a chance to break out, right? Like, yes, he was good. It's hard saying a player that essentially led your defense last year is going to break out. I don't even think he's as good as he's going to be yet, though. We haven't seen the best of Xavier Atkins. That's why I'm still on him.
Yeah.
When you really go back and look at his tape now, right? And I'll be honest, I overlooked him because I didn't really look at his tape before he got to Auburn that deeply. But now he got tons of tape at Auburn to look at. I was like, ooh, like he still has a lot of room to grow, and he's already awesome.
Right, for sure.
What's it going to look like now that he has not slept on? Because I don't know Xavier personally. There's some players I know personally. Xavier's not one I know personally. I know you know him personally, so you could probably qualify this statement better than I can. But what I've heard is he is a guy who's never content with where he's at. He's constantly looking for the next level. Yeah, last year was great, but I can do better than that. That's scary, man. That's really scary for a guy who did what he did last year to have a mindset of looking for the next level. I can't wait to see what that produces next year on DJ Durkin's defense.
I think that's first of all, I think that's accurate. Definitely a guy always scratching at the ceiling, right? I want to see what's behind it. And I'd also say a guy that I think that's going to have a good year. I want to see Blake Woodby in a more extended role. I thought a lot of people had a lot of good things to say about Blake Woodby, another important re-signing. And I think now with the cornerback position, you can move him around the secondary. You can play him in that nickel. You can play him as a dime guy. You can play him on the perimeter if you need to. and having bodies that can go out there and play and you can match up, in different scenarios. Like if last year against Georgia, with a more seasoned Blake Wood be somebody who could kind of go and get in Zach Branch's grill, right?
Mhm.
One of those shifty or smaller guys. He's somebody that you can put on one of those guys in the slant, punch him, and they can still run with him, right? So I think
Yeah,
Blake Woodby has a really good skill set. And he's super athletic as well.
I wonder if there's another guy at linebacker that has a chance. Elijah Melendez really broke on the scene last year. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
as a true freshman coming in, I'm just saying he looked like a Autobot coming in.
yeah.
Like, bro looked like a transformer. They're ridiculous coming in, and he played ridiculously for a true freshman.
Hmm.
But I'm wondering if a guy like Jacquez Wilkes couldn't come in and be a contributor in year one. I really like what that young man has to offer. There's so much potential on defense, and I said Xavier Atkins, was Auburn's probably Auburn's most important resigning. If I had a 1B, DJ Durkin returning as defensive coordinator would probably be it. I know he's not a player, but I'm telling you, I love what his defenses have been able to do. And if you put a competent offense that can keep time of possession and extend drives and keep that defense off the field, if they're fresh, if you give me a fresh DJ Durkin defense in the fourth quarter because they're not on the field all the time in the first half, I think that's potentially scary. But what I love about him is that he will play young guys.
Hmm.
He'll get the young guys out there, man. He's not a fair. He'll get the transfers out there. Experience won't be the barrier that keeps you off the field if you're talented and you are dialed in, and you understand your assignment.
Yeah.
I love that about his defense, man. They will get guys, out there who, you may be new here, but if you've locked in practice and you've done all the things you need to do during the week, and you are physically and mentally ready to play, you better be ready to be called upon in this defense here. And I wonder if Jacquez Wilkes might not be a guy who surprises people as someone who is, I mean, obviously was a highly rated recruit, but it's hard, man, to see guys being contributors as true freshmen. Could he do it?
I'll tell you one
I
one
said true
guy.
freshman. I'm sorry, I don't know, but you understand what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. No, for sure. I think Wilkes was a really big pickup. Another guy in that linebacker room. I think your first three linebackers out of the gate are going to be as athletic as anybody in the country, and the third guy in that mix is going to be Juice Diaz, Bryce Diaz, but they call him Juice. Man, this is a guy that I know was another big retention piece. I heard many a conversation of other schools asking about 16. This guy can play in the slot. He can play Mike. He can play Will. And Auburn kind of plays a little bit of a left-right scheme based on where the hash is and where the linebacker, where their responsibility is.
Mhm.
He's a guy that could, doesn't matter where he is. And what I saw later in the season was he showed some closing ability when he was blitzed. So I don't think there's a better closer from an off-ball backer position in the country than Xavier Atkins. But
Yeah.
as evidenced by 9.5 sacks, and Pro Football Focus has him at 10. But I think Diaz has some of that. I mean, they call him Juice, and he's got plenty of it. Before we get out of here, how soon do you think it is before Auburn is back in a national conversation as far as playing football in December?
That's really hard. That's a really hard question, Dukes, because Auburn is the most Jekyll and Hyde program I think that's out there, right? I mean, look at 2012, the worst season in Auburn football in 50 years,
Mhm,
3-9, and then they went to the national title game the very next year.
mhm.
I mean, there was after they won that national title, there were a couple of suspect years in there, right? But for 2011 was a little suspect. 2012 was definitely very suspect, and nobody saw him coming. But all it took was finding your quarterback. Trey Mason just kind of burst on the scene. Greg Robinson, again, we talked about this on a segment you and I did recently. It was a second overall pick in the NFL draft on that offensive line. You had solid wide receiver play. I mean, you had playmakers, and the defense was kind of bend but don't break. But they came up with timely turnovers.
Was that Josh Bynes at linebacker
Was
on that
Bynes?
team?
Was Bynes?
I looked it up. I think Bynes was.
Was
I
he?
think Bynes
Was
was on
Josh
that team,
Bynes?
bro.
I remember he was 2013. Josh Bynes, Auburn. Bynes.
Nah, he was on
No, he was
2000.
before. He was before. Yeah, he was before.
Okay.
I look. I don't want to sound like a super homer, but I think that Auburn has the potential to be back in the conversation immediately. Can they and will they are two different conversations, though.
Can and will.
Right? Can they? Sure. Will they? There are a lot. There's nuance to that, and there's a lot of other variables about will they? Will guys buy in? Will guys do what they are supposed to do? Did the staff do a good job in identifying the right guys, getting the right guys on the field? Will Byron Brown translate what he did in the American to the SEC? These are all questions that need to be answered when we talk about will they. Can they? Absolutely. Because I felt like they had enough talent to do it last year.
I'm just looking at these linebackers.
Put it all together.
Listen to these names. When's the last time you heard Jake Holland? Casanova McKenzie. All right, your star. You had two guys, and these guys kind of rotated some. Justin Garrett. Remember how highly touted he was.
Yep.
And the Cadillac of defense, Robinson Therese. I haven't heard these names in forever, but this was your defense in 2013 with Chris Davis and Jonathan Mincy at corner, Josh Hosley and Jermaine Whitehead at safety.
Right.
Names I haven't heard in a while, but none of those names get out. I mean, now some of those guys had successful NFL careers, but none of those names get out and scream national championship. So I think we can't get caught up in the name recognition in trying to decide if this can be a contender sooner than anybody thinks. Nobody had Indiana pegged to be in the national championship.
Nobody. Before the season. Yeah. You were lying if you said you did. Right? Like you were a liar if you said you did, or you're an Indiana fan.
If Auburn, now you got a quarterback, you got a first team Debo Atkins is going to be a first team All-American at linebacker, which is the most important part of a DJ Durkin. Not the most important, but usually he's had prolific linebackers in the pass rush multiple years from an off-ball position. You look at what he was able to do with what's my man name from the Packers, the linebacker. Edgerrin. I'll get his name in a second, but Edgerrin. Hold on, I'm gonna pause this because
the only
Cooper. Cooper is what I'm looking for. Edge Cooper with the Green Bay Packers. He also had 7.5, 8 sacks in the DJ Durkin defense. So I think you got your queen piece, and I say queen as far as the functionality. If you play chess, you got that piece that you move around and you're able to go attack with on defense. This could be a really sneaky Auburn team next year with a complete gauntlet of a schedule. So we'll see how it pans out, man. Mike, it's always fun. I appreciate it. Where can we find you? What's dropping next? You guys always drop amazing content. One of the top creators on Auburn YouTube and in the Auburn spaces on the Auburn beat, period. So talk to us about what you guys got coming and where everybody can find you.
Yeah, catch us on YouTube Monday through Friday. We're dropping at 7 a.m. Lots of great content for you guys. Ike Jones is on the road. Dukes covering every single awake game for us, man. This guy is working hard to make sure we get the road coverage this year. I cover all the home games, but follow us on social media at the War Report. Follow me on Twitter at Mike Giddens, on Instagram at Mike Giddens _. We got a lot going on this offseason. I think it's going to be good. I don't know if you saw, there were a couple publications that had Auburn baseball top 5 in the preseason as well here too. So if Stephen Pearl can get basketball going, we're going to be pretty busy this spring.
All right, man. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you tell a friend to tune into The Scoop with Dukes. You will continue to see great guests like Mike G. Appreciate you guys' time. I am out.